Hi, Bob Neilson here with another episode of the Dr. No series. I'm pleased to introduce Rob Haas, Art Schlussel, and John Auger of the Army War College. They will present this episode of the Dr. No series. Before we begin, I'd like to emphasize two key points. First, people featured in the Dr. No series are not professional actors or newscasters. They are Army professionals or members of our contracting team who are doing important work. Second, you too can be Dr. No and featured on this website. If you have something to say that illustrates one or more of the 12 Army KM principles, we want to hear from you. Specifications for a Dr. No video are on this website. And now, the folks from the Army War College. Rob Haas is on the left, Art is on the right side of the screen. John Auger is off camera asking the questions. They will be talking about two things. First, a new War College elective course on knowledge management, and second, a KM competency model that will guide KM education and training in the Army. Note, the figures Art and Rob are referring to are directly above the screen. An explanation of the role of the Army War College follows their presentation.
Dr. No, how are you going to get the KM word out?
There are a couple of ways that we expose our students to knowledge management. The college offers noontime lectures that last about an hour and are focused on specific topics. Knowledge management was one of these. For a more in-depth look at a subject, there are elective courses which students can take. These electives are 10 3-hour sessions, so they can dig pretty deeply into a topic.
The KM elective is quite unique here at Carlisle. The Commandant and the college's Chief of Staff recognized that this elective provided them a unique opportunity to help them in their efforts to improve KM practices at Carlisle Barracks. They've given the students a KM project to address during their studies, and the final product for the students is a decision paper and a briefing for the Commandant at the end of the elective term.
Dr. No, what's the payoff for the Army?
Our number one objective is to provide the students with an understanding of KM principles, theory, and application so they can apply their knowledge of KM at their next assignment. Go ahead and go to Figure 2. We want to ensure they comprehend how KM, a blend of people, culture, process, and technology, can work together to facilitate knowledge sharing and reduce time wasted and increase productivity.
The elective starts with 2 sessions on knowledge management principles and foundations. This includes an introduction to the knowledge management project presented by a member of the command group. The elective then delves a little deeper and looks at knowledge management competencies as reflected on Figure 3. There is a session devoted to KM leaders, managers, and champions and their roles and responsibilities, and another session examines communities of practice.
The course also contains 2 sessions on technology and collaboration tools. The students have an opportunity to gain familiarity with the tools, but the important point we want to stress is that KM isn't just IT tools, rather that tools are an important enabler of KM. Another class section focuses on institutional change.
The elective also includes a session devoted to content management and information assurance, and one on metrics and assessment. Throughout the elective, there are in-progress review sessions to assist the students in addressing the Commandant's KM project that they're working on.
The course ends with the students briefing the Commandant on their KM recommendations for the War College. So at the end of the course, not only will they have been introduced to KM, they'll have an opportunity to put it into practice.
Who is presenting the course?
In addition to KM professionals at the college, we draw heavily on outside speakers, experts in the field. One of our sessions features a webcast with Lieutenant Colonel Howard Lim, 18th Airborne Corps Knowledge Management Officer. He'll provide the students with a good appreciation of how KM is being used out in the operating force. Other sessions include talks by KM leaders like Kent Greenis and Richard McDermott.
We mentioned the non-resident class. There will be an abbreviated elective for them. Additionally, all the sessions from the resident elective will be taped and will be available on the college's portal.
Dr. No, the War College course seems to be centered on the KM competency model. Tell us a little bit more about it.
The 9 competencies shown on Figure 3 represent our best analysis right now of the kinds of things that need to be included in any educational program on knowledge management. A matrix describing the competency areas is also available in the Dr. No announcements section. The matrix lays out the goal, suggested approaches, and suggested methods. It's a work in progress and builds heavily on some initial work done by Dr. No. We are in the process of vetting it within the Army and also with other governmental and commercial entities.
We'd appreciate any and all feedback on it. After all, the KM end state is to create a culture of collaboration and knowledge sharing in the Army where key information is pushed and pulled within the global enterprise to meet mission objectives. The Army wants an organization where good ideas are valued regardless of the source. Knowledge sharing is recognized and rewarded, and the knowledge base is accessible without technological or structural barriers. Here's your opportunity to walk the walk. Our contact info is shown on Figure 4. We look forward to sharing ideas.
We are also doing some preliminary work on a maturity model, but we'll save that for another Dr. No episode.
The Army War College is a 10-month course of instruction that prepares selected military, civilian, and international leaders for the responsibilities of strategic leadership. Our students arrive in August and graduate the following June. The typical class size is about 330. 60% of the class is Army, while 40% is sister service, civilians and international fellows. Go ahead and click on Figure 1, Class Composition. The students are at the Lieutenant Colonel rank for the military, which includes active and reserve members from not only the Army, but also the Air Force, Navy, Marine Corps, and Coast Guard.
Civilian students are generally at the YA3 or GS 14-15 level and come from across government, although the majority comes from within DoD. The U.S. students are joined by approximately 40 international fellows from around the globe. These fellows are typically senior colonels or general officers. In addition to the resident course, there is also a 2-year non-resident class of a similar makeup. Together, the War College graduates about 600 students a year who are headed off to high-level positions throughout the Army and the government.